In part 5 of the 2013 Kane Opponent Series, I'm going to talk about our opponent in the ACC Opener, and that's the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who come to Sun Life Stadium on October 5th. Here's what you need to know about the Yellow Jackets. They are coached by Paul Johnson, who is entering the 6th season in Atlanta. This was the hot team when he came in from Navy, but things have changed. In 2009, they won the ACC title, beating Clemson and Tampa to do so. With a Johnson coach team, you know what you're going to see, which is the triple option. His teams have led the nation, or have been near the top in total yards, especially rushing, but not so much in passing and in total points. Here's what Johnson said after winning the 2009 ACC title. When we took the job, this is the reason we took it, to have a chance to compete and go to BCS bowl games. He was on a roll at that point, and when you look at the resume of this man, you see why he had the confidence he had at that time. He won 2 Division I AA, now FCS national championships at Georgia Southern. And then he led the Naval Academy to 5 straight bowl games, and once he arrived in Atlanta, he had early success to everyone's amazement, when few thought he was going to do well there with that gimmick triple offense. Now let's fast forward to 2013. They're not as consistent as they once were. They come off a 7-7 season, and the 3rd straight year with at least 5 losses. Now, while there have been bowl games in that stretch, it's not the big boy bowls like the Orange or Sugar. Instead, you go to bowls like the Sun and the Independence. The disgruntling among the alumni and the fan base tends to be a little loud at that point, when you don't go to a major bowl game, where you have a major bowl drought like Georgia Tech's had. Now, when you look at them by the numbers, of course, you know they're near the top. They're near the top in total offense. In fact, they were 4th in the nation in that category. Their passing offense was near the bottom in the NCAA. They were 4th in the conference total offense and 35th overall. 34th in scoring offense, 4th in the conference, and 41st in rush defense, which is 5th in the conference. Pass defense, 5th in the conference. Total defense, 5th in the conference. And on the rush, pass, and total defenses, 41st, 58th, and 43rd respectively. Scoring defense, they were 7th and 65th overall. Turnover margin, 4th in the conference, 45th overall. Sacks, 59th overall, 8th in the conference. And 2nd fewest sacks allowed in the conference, and 13th overall. That right there tells you this is purely a running team. Defensively, this is a middle of the road team. Now, what does 2013 hold for the Jackets? Let's break them down. Defensively, they have 8 starters back here, which includes Jeremiah Adechu, who makes the move over to the D-line from linebacker, more specifically the D-end. This is off the 2012 season where he had 10 sacks while at linebacker, but you have to realize the move is coming from a change of philosophy. 2012 defensive coordinator and former Virginia head coach Al Groh was canned in mid-season after their D allowed 40-plus points for the 3rd straight game. When he was at Georgia Tech, Groh used a 3-4. On January 9th, Johnson hired former Duke head coach Ted Roof to be the new defensive coordinator in Atlanta. Now, Roof is an alumnus at Georgia Tech, playing linebacker there. For 5 years, he was Duke's head coach and has been an assistant in many places, including a stop in Happy Valley last year. What we'll see from Roof is a 4-3 defense. The linebackers he'll have at his disposal, returning as starters, all made 40 tackles last year, including 84 from sophomore Jabari Hunt Days, a reigning freshman All-American. But they did lose to graduation Eisen Cross, who signed as an unrestricted free agent by Buffalo, defensive tackle T.J. Barnes, and cornerback Ross Sweeting, who signed as an undrafted free agent by New Orleans. Offensively, they will have to fill the shoes of Tevin Washington, who was a 2-year starter and the ACC's all-time leading rusher in touchdowns by a quarterback. The man who will likely be the guy to run Johnson's offense is Vad Lee, a redshirt sophomore who appeared in all 12 games last year and was a 4-star recruit out of Durham, North Carolina, Hillside High School. He had 96 carries for 544 yards, including runs of 59 yards and 2 scores in the 56-20 rout of the Cavaliers on September 15th. In the shootout win versus Carolina, 68-50 on November 10th, he threw for 169 yards but ran for another 112. Now, backing up Lee is Justin Thomas, a redshirt freshman from Prattville, Alabama, and another 4-star prospect. Now, the backs to help Lee and Johnson's offense are David Sims, a redshirt senior, who had 612 yards on 135 carries last year and 4 touchdowns, and junior B.J. Bostic, who had 212 yards rushing on 34 carries. and they also have 4 offensive line starters coming back for them. Now, they've averaged 311 yards rushing a game last year. Now, let's look for that again in 2013. But gone to graduation or other circumstances besides Washington are Owen Smith, who signed as an unrestricted free agent by Tampa Bay, Amorji Uzi, graduation, and Jeff Green, who left the team and now is transferred to Ohio State and sitting out this year. Special teams, they do return junior Jamal Golden as both the punt and kick returner. The place kicker will be David Scully, and the punter will be Sean Poole, both seniors. Now, let's look at in closing. When I look at Georgia Tech's schedule, there are winnable games there. Elon is a no-brainer in the season opener. But after that, they go to Duke off the bye week on September 14th. Then they have Carolina and Virginia Tech at home in a 5-day stretch. They could either be 2-2 or 1-3 after the first month of the season. Then comes a trip down to Sun Life 9 days later, which will be a loss for them. So we're looking at potentially 1-4 or 2-3 before heading out west the following week to play BYU in Provo, before going back to Atlanta to host Syracuse the next week. Then they have a trip to Charlottesville before coming back home to host Pitt. After the second bye week comes a trip to Clemson to close the ACC portion of the schedule. Not good when you have to go on the road to play a very tough Clemson team. Then they close with Alabama, A&M, and their bitter rival Georgia at home. I'm going to be honest here. I'm looking realistically at best case 7-5 for Georgia Tech in 2013. In part 6 of the series, I will preview the North Carolina Tar Heels.